Today, I want to talk about one of my favorite guilty pleasures, reality TV. I absolutely love reality TV. You name it, I love it. Bad Girls Club, not baddies. Real World, My 600 Pound Life, Dance Mom. Today, I want to focus on My 600 Pound Life. Lately, I have been binge watching all of the episodes. If I'm not at dance, I'm watching My 600 Pound Life, okay? I'm keeping up with them. I'm on a Reddit thread reading about them. I am booked and busy when it comes to these people's lives. And as I'm watching My 600 Pound Life, I got to thinking a lot about goal setting. And I know that reality TV, especially something like My 600 Pound Life, isn't the typical place to go to find these deep life lessons. But there's something to be said about how these individuals recognize that they are addicted to food and try to undo all of the damage that they've done to their bodies. There's something to be said about that, and I have found it. I have 7 lessons that I learned from My 600 Pound Life that I want to share with you for you to incorporate into your own life. So I am going to have some of this Recess Zero Proof. Girl, I had one of these the other night thinking that it was like, I don't know, like a sleepy mocktail. And I was wired when I had it, and I decided to look up what the ingredient was. So this ingredient, I saw it and I was like, what is this? This is caffeine. So let's taste this one. The one I had before was the margarita. This is the classic Cosmo. Okay. Don't taste this and expect to taste like this highly sugary drink, okay? This definitely tastes like flavored water. Essentially, it's light, refreshing. This has apple, papaya, agave, pear juice, cranberry. So yeah, like a nice fruit punch. Lesson number 1 is that the easy way isn't always the easy way. All the participants in the show are ultimately aiming to get weight loss surgery, and weight loss surgery seems to be the easy shortcut, and a lot of them view it that way. They're always saying, I just need to get my surgery. Why won't he just give me the surgery? Because there are things that they need to do before they even get the surgery, which is the easy route to lose weight. Some of them are too heavy to undergo surgery at their current weight. So they need to lose weight before they're even considered for that. And for them to lose weight, they have to undo so many habits that they have just built over their lifetime.
Changing something like my eating habits is never going to be easy. No, my house is not attractive because I'm used to doing what I know.
And they also need to shift their mindset around food. Because even if they did go get surgery and not work on their habits, there have been participants that show up on the show and they're like, I had weight loss surgery before.
Doctor now will say because I already had weight loss surgery once, that a second time won't work either.
And there's like a physical pain that they feel when they get weight loss surgery where their stomach is full and they cannot eat anymore. But some of them eat past that point, right? Because food is their comfort. That is an addiction that they've had, that they've built over years. So if they don't do the internal work first, having the surgery isn't going to do anything externally for them. So thinking about how this applies to you in your life, you may think there's an easy route. If I just had $3,000 right now, like everything would be perfect. Or if I just had this job that I really want, or I just had this partner that I really want. Like, you could always want these things that seem like they're going to solve all of your problems, but if you don't do the internal work first that is blocking you from actually making progress towards that thing, then the quick fix is never going to work. But on the flip side, some of them do make the right progress, right? They do start addressing their past trauma. They do start thinking about what they're eating before they eat it and thinking about like what food means to them. But they swing a little too far, right? They go towards the other extreme. And that leads us to the next lesson that I've learned from My 600 Pound Life. Do not skip the small steps. Don't be afraid to be a beginner. Some patients get so motivated, and that's awesome, right? They end up going too hard, too fast. There's no reason that you went from sitting on your couch eating, I don't know, I'm just going to say 20,000 calories in a day to now going to the gym and getting a trainer to work out. Like, can we first practice standing up? You know, they want to skip that small step. They immediately get into the gym and they're trying to undo bad habits. And again, it's not only time that it takes addressing the internal things first. Why did you develop this habit? Why do you feel like this will solve your problem? Still rooted in that quick fix mindset, It's just in disguise. They go too hard, too fast, and it's just too much for their body sometimes. But when you skip over the beginning phase in anything that you're pursuing in life, you are robbing yourself of developing consistency. You're also robbing yourself of trusting yourself, trusting that you can go through the process, because there will be obstacles. It's life. How will you address that obstacle? Taking the beginner phase seriously and just sitting in it and learning. There is value in being a beginner. There's value in going through a new process and being new. There's value in slow and steady progress. So what I want you to do is think about where you are right now and honor where you are, even if that is the starting line. And that goes into point number 3. Timing matters so much more than we think. The power of timing means that just because you want something doesn't mean it's the right time for you to have it. Just because they want to be 140 pounds doesn't mean it's the right time for them to have it. They still need to take their time. They need to honor the process where they are. They need to go through all of the steps of addressing their past trauma. But just because you want it doesn't mean you need to have it right now. Preparation is a part of the process. This also made me think about being pregnant. A mother has to wait 9 months for that baby to fully develop. She's just not sitting around waiting, twiddling her thumbs. It's a very active process, right? The baby is growing. The mother's growing nutrients. I don't know what really goes on during pregnancy, but there's something going on during those 9 months, preparing for the baby to enter this world safely. So while they're waiting to get their surgery, it's an active process. They're developing the skills that they need, and they start to build the habits, right? Going grocery shopping, looking at nutrition labels, thinking about healthy meals that they can eat, thinking about not reaching for food when they feel frustrated with something. The waiting process to get the surgery, or the waiting process of losing weight, it is all a very active process, and you are building the mental fortitude that you need to unlock the next level. So the lesson here is that the waiting season is not a waste, right? This is where you're planting your roots for transformation. I noticed that a lot of the participants were forced to face the uncomfortable truth with a lot of their coping habits. And for the most part, all of them are addicted to food. There was some of them addicted to drugs too. But when we think about addiction, we think about drugs or alcohol. We never think about food being an addiction for the most part, but food is an addiction. There are other addictions out there, right? You can be addicted to shopping. You can be addicted to being busy. But the thing about all these different addictions like shopping, eating, being busy, these are more socially acceptable, right? Food is readily available. You don't need to show your ID to get food. You can't go to prison for eating too much food. I don't get in trouble for being too busy. Like, there are addictions that we all deal with. Some of them are just acceptable, and in their case, their addiction of food is acceptable. So think about, what is your drug of choice, right? Are you addicted to social media? Do you go to social media when you feel overwhelmed or numb? Like, do you watch TV? Do you throw yourself into a project? Because I think it's important for all of us to realize that we all have our addictions. And noticing what your real addiction is another key step in you really freeing yourself from that thing. Another thing that I found interesting was that once the participants were able to break free from their old habits, their identities had to shift. Because once you start adopting new habits, you become that person that does that kind of thing. So no longer are they trying to identify as the fat friend who eats whatever, whenever. Now they want to be the friend whose life doesn't completely revolve around food. This is hard for them to come to terms with. They even say it. When there are people in relationships and one of them may go through the surgery, they're just like, we don't have anything else in common besides food. So they're creating new identities for themselves that are separate from the food they eat together. And they're struggling to figure out, how do we connect if it's not about let's eat, let's prepare for the day together, like really being codependent on one another, enabling one another. Not only do they struggle with this, their friends and family do as well, because they've also built identities around their family member or their friend, the 600-pound person, always needing them, always wanting food, right? They become caretakers, they become enablers in a sense. So once you have all that time freed up in that mental space, it's kind of like, what do I do now? And you can see it. Some people really thrive being in that space of the enabler or the caretaker, or even judging them, right? Because it's no longer, I can judge you for eating. If it's someone who does successfully complete the program, and does successfully adopt all of their new healthy habits, what is there for me to judge now? Like, myself? And people like that, they don't like to exist within themselves. There are people who just do not like to exist within their own world. Their worlds are dependent on what other people are doing. So the lesson I take from this is that growth invites friction. When you grow, there are people that are going to grow with you, and there are also going to be people that do not adjust with you, and that's okay. You have to learn how to move on without those people, especially if the new version of yourself or the new life you're pursuing is one that you truly want and one that will really improve the quality of your life in their case, right? The next lesson that I've learned from 600 Pound Life is that truth and accountability aren't the enemy. I didn't learn this, but this is something that stands out. Dr. Now does not cater to their feelings at all. Dr. Now says the truth, right? He says, you were clearly eating enough for 5 people. You did not lose enough weight for this appointment. You didn't meet your goal, right? It's very black and white with him. Now, can he say it in a nicer way? Yes, but I think that's also the appeal of the show. He's just very blunt and straightforward with them, and he holds them accountable, especially with the weigh-ins at each appointment. They do not appreciate that. And when Dr. Now shares these truths and holds them accountable, they get very defensive.
Bring someone to witness to convince me that you're not eating bush.
I didn't bring you to do anything. I brought my friends in for support. You know what? Y'all ready to go? Because I'm not doing this. I'm not. He's not going to talk to me like I'm crazy. I've been on the road all day to come to this appointment, and you're not going to disrespect me. I've been nothing but nice to your ass. You're not going to do me like that. You know, y'all ready to go? Because I'm ready to go.
Once they accept the truth, that's when they start to grow. That's when they start to lose weight. That's when they start to go to therapy. The doctor now has all the right intentions when he's holding them accountable and telling them the truths, even when they continuously lie to themselves. And once they come around to accepting the truth, then that is when they can grow. So what are you lying to yourself about? We all have the lies we tell ourselves. Okay? I'm no different. I like a good lie to myself. But what are you lying to yourself about that could be holding you back? Are you really telling the truth about what your coping mechanisms are? Are you really telling the truth about where you are in your journey? Are you really telling the truth about the progress that you are making? Are you really telling the truth about the sacrifices that you're making to achieve your goal? So sit and think about, what exactly are you not really telling the truth about to yourself? Because it's easy for us to believe our own selves. And if we hear the truth from someone else, we could get upset with them. So think about what your own truth is before someone else says it to you. This brings me to my last lesson, which is your environment shapes you. A part of the process is that the patients have to move to Houston to get the weight loss surgery because they need to be close to the office to get their checkups and everything. And when patients move to Houston, I find that for the majority of them, this also frees them from their old triggers. If I'm in my old hometown and I'm still right down the street from the burger place, still right around the corner from the grocery store that I know where everything is and I know how to grab it, I still have all of my comfort pleasures still there. But when I come to Houston, I've now gotten this weight loss surgery. They've addressed their old habits, right? If they do it the right way, coming to Houston is sort of like a fresh start for them. They explore new healthy restaurants. I see them going to different parks to walk. They take up different hobbies. Being away from familiar people, places, and patterns forces you to grow. Them being in this new city comes with a new sense of identity. So if you feel like you are feeling a little stuck with where you are in your process, change your scenery. And it doesn't mean move to a new city. That can mean rearrange your room, clean up your space, paint the room or something. Like, I painted my office pink. I needed this new environment, and ever since my office has been pink, I've been thriving in here. Y'all, I actually need to look up the ingredients in this because I am starting to feel a little buzzed. So just high level quick recap that I want you to walk away from this video knowing. Change takes time. Healing is not linear. Truth and accountability are your friends. Identity shifts are hard, but worth it. So hopefully I gave you enough to kind of think about where you are in your journey. Shout out to my 600 Pound Life for giving me these lessons. Comment below if you watch my 600 Pound Life, and share this with someone who is in the middle of a transformation, because there are some true gems in here. If you aren't subscribed already, be sure to subscribe, and I will see you all in the next one. Remember that I upload 2 times a week. Until then, I hope you have a positively productive, self-loving day. Bye.